Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. This week we're going to be going over Tapestry, a Superior Junk production. It's a comic book that was produced in Maine, so I thought it apropos to do a little review of another Maine comic book. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own stuff. I produce a 12-page, full-size, full-color comic book for mostly for the patrons. You can go to patreon.com/ Alexander Turbin to check this out. And like I said, it's 12 pages, full size, full color, and just for $3 a month, and you get this and a sticker. You can also check these out at alexanderturbin.com, my website, or you can just contact me at alexturbin04401 at Instagram. I'd greatly appreciate any kind of feedback and or support, and that would also help the channel and these reviews and all that good stuff. So let's get into Tapestry. So it came out in 1993, a year after Mutandis, and I remember specifically getting this at my local comic book store, Nostalgia, as it was. I don't know where I got it signed. Maybe they were at a shop or a local con or something, or maybe I just bought it that way. I can't remember. But I do remember thinking that it was very non-traditional. It's very indie. It's less. It's not a power comic, I would say. I don't think it's a power comic at all. But that is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But it's not superhero or really a lot of hard sci-fi or anything like that. It's just kind of a cool little story with a little bit of sci-fi elements. But like I said, it's called Tapestry, and it was created by Gary Hogger, Gary Porro, Andre Salas, and Steve Souza. Written by Andre Salas, art by Michael Ferrier. I'm sorry if I messed that up. Lettered by Michael LaChance, cover art by Jason Leclerc, and publisher is Gary Hogger. So it must be these four guys just kind of split up the duties of what they were going to do and stuff. Gary Hogger sounds like he was threw around some ideas with Andre Salas, and that's just how they came up with it. They also have quite a few excuse me, advertisements in the book, and that's it's cool whenever you see advertisements in indie comics, because at least they're making a little bit of money, and you think that probably prompts them to get other issues out. I don't have the other issues, but after reading this again, because I know I did read it back in 1993, but after rereading this again, I think I've found a new appreciation for it. And if I do see these out in the wild, I'm definitely going to pick them up. Here's another advertisement. So it starts off with, I think this might be a prologue, and it's got this guy, and he's looking out at a skyline, and then you cut to a drunk scene, somebody drinking, and the guy is sitting next to the drunk. And I think from the beginning, it kind of maybe looks a little powery to me, this panel here with him. But it soon develops, the artwork anyway, develops into something a little bit more too sophisticated for me anyway to call it a power comic. But you also see a lot of inspiration by Todd McFarlane. But I'm gonna, like I say every time, I start to get ahead of myself and start to talk about the art and the writing, when I like to start with the story, so we have a frame of reference as to what's going on. It's like John Goodman talking in Big Lebowski. You have no frame of reference. So anyway. I got all wound up, so now I got to start again. So he's talking to the drunk guy, and he's Michael, and he's talking like he's either an angel or God or something. But I'm thinking he might be Michael, and he's talking about he has a world and it's getting burned down, and but he also has this Mickey Mouse hat that he's carrying around, and he starts talking about how they bring back Disney or something, and Disney takes it away. Maybe this is supposed to be Eisner, the guy that is in charge of Disney. But I don't. Was he in charge of Disney in 1993? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. But he kind of just goes off on a tangent about Mickey Mouse, and he just starts blathering on about Disney World stuff. Starts singing "When You Wish Upon a Star" and all that stuff. And but then the bum, the homeless man. I don't know. Is it okay to call homeless people bums still? I don't think it is. But anyway, it's the homeless person, and he's drinking his beer, and he's like, damn good beer. So then it cuts to a completely different scene, and it's to the credit of the creators, the writers, the artists, that even though it cuts to the scene, it cuts to another scene, and it doesn't say somewhere else or 50 minutes away or something like that. It just cuts to another scene, and it's really seamless. So just this dude, and he's talking about alcoholism and his life, and kind of whatever is going on in his head. And he's got this dog here and he's sitting on a park bench, and he's just kind of hanging out with the dog, and the dog comes near him, and the dog sniffs him. And then he kind of walks along, and he's walking along, and he opens the door, and there's a door, and it goes out. So I think we're supposed to be led to believe, because I believe it says it's 19. I can't remember what year it is. It's like 2085 or something like that. And this park is completely a made up hologram kind of thing. And I guess they have them at they're like a park where you can just go in, excuse me, and enjoy the hologram of the park. And then he goes out into the regular world, and it's sleazy, futuristic, dystopian culture and stuff. So he's walking along, and the same homeless man grabs his leg looking for a drink. He throws him down, and again he takes a swig, and he says, damn good beer. So then out of nowhere, this other guy with an eye patch just kind of shows up, and kind of, I don't know if he saves the guy or he stops the homeless man from kind of picking on him or whatever. But they have this kind of congenial conversation about drinking and life and stuff like that. So he's like, let me buy you a beer. So they go to this bar, and the bartender says he when he sees him, he says he has a picture that he's supposed to give to him. And the guy with the eye patch, actually the picture isn't for a little bit. But the guy in the eye patch is talking about some sort of disease that happened, and I don't know if he or somebody else created a vaccine or an antidote for it or something like that. So I guess you really kind of get through all of this, the ins and outs. It doesn't really say it completely, but it's very much 12 Monkeys, where I think there was a disease that ravaged the world, and only the rich people got the complete antidote or whatever, and vaccine or whatever, it's kind of interesting that this came out in 1993. And I guess there's a lot of dystopian future stories that have diseases and stuff, just like COVID. So anyway, the bartender, oh no, somebody from behind him comes up to him, and this guy, the main character, I guess, whips out a knife and makes the guy back off. So I guess he was in a threatening manner, but he didn't really do anything. So that's kind of unusual. The story, it really kind of makes sense in some kind of weird way. Maybe it's just the way that it's done and told and stuff. But even though it's kind of a little disjointed the way I'm telling it, it all kind of makes sense. Maybe it's a simple story told well. But then you have the bartender, like I said before, he has a picture of him, but the main character doesn't ever remember the picture being taken or anything like that. So he's just studying the picture, and the guy with the eye patch, I guess he's part of some kind of rebellion or something. So everybody's out to get him. So he gets smashed up by some guy in the background, and the main character just kind of ducks out and leaves the bar. So he just leaves his new friend to get his ass kicked by, everybody in the bar, which is a little weird. You would think that he would kind of stick up for him a little bit. But he makes his way along, and he sees a cemetery, and it's apparently a Jewish cemetery, and he goes into it because it's one of the few places that has grass and stuff like that, nature. So he's just kind of checking out the graveyard when these skinheads come up, and they start to mark on the gravestones, spray paint, and I mean they're skinheads and they're Nazis and stuff, and that really pisses the dude off. So he attacks them, and they kind of just beat his ass, and they keep just smashing on him, and he finally looks up and he sees one of the gravestones is actually him, 1973 to 2059. So I guess the whole premise there, and then there's a whole bunch of pages that I started to read, and I just kind of lost interest in what was going on. So I guess it's a time travel story, and much like 12 Monkeys, I don't know when 12 Monkeys came out, whether this was had already been a movie and they maybe took some inspiration from it, but it has a lot of the same themes, but it's a nicely told story. It's not, like I said, it's not a lot going on. It's kind of just a basic plot of life and what's going on in the main character's life, and some weird background world building. I think that is probably the key to what is going on in the comic is its world building. So let's get to the writing. The writing is really pretty good. Everybody is very specifically has their own tone and intonations, and they have their own voices. Everything moves very smoothly. Part of the allure to this comic and the writing is the lettering. You'd be surprised how disjointed writing can become if it's not accurately lettered. If it's squished in a word balloon, or you can't read something correctly or whatever. But it's really nicely lettered, and it really is nicely written too. At no point did I have to double back and reread what any of the dialogue or the captions. And there's a lot of writing. There's a lot of captions. And even though there's a lot of writing, it's not unpleasant to read. It's pretty good reading. It doesn't say a whole lot. It's more a cognizant way of thinking about your life and what's going on. And it doesn't really propel the plot either. You kind of just have to stitch what you think the plot is by just kind of what they're saying a little bit. Excuse me. So yeah, like I said, the writing's pretty good. The plot is a little thin, and I kind of wish they'd come up with a little bit more of a resolution and maybe quicken the pace of the plot a little bit. But it's nothing horribly bad or horribly wrong. It moves nicely, and it also gives me a thought that I would like to read the rest of this. I'd like to see because there's 4 issues apparently of this, and I would like to see all 4 issues and see where it goes. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on it. As for the art, Michael Ferrere, I looked him up and I couldn't find any other stuff that he's done recently, but it's very difficult to look up people and find what they're doing. But it's really nice. Like I brought up, it's a little Todd McFarlane-ish, especially these panels right here. This 3 sets of panels is very Todd McFarlane. The eyes and the nose and the whole just the way it's done. But there's a good amount of panels, but not overly abundant, and it moves the story along. The artwork moves the story along, and I kind of do wish there was a few less panels, but when the amount of panels is required to tell the story, then it's required to tell the story. If you could do it in less, but I don't know if you could do it in less, because it moves along really smoothly. Everything moves like from left to right and from top to bottom, so you never get confused on anything. All of the emotions and the expressions on their faces aren't overly done, and that can easily be done. You know, you're if you're thinking of drawing a comic like you're looking at a black and white movie. In the black and white movies, they were all very extravagantly done. They were all extreme, uh, you know, expressions and body movement and stuff like that, because they had to express what they were doing through their actions and through their emotions and stuff instead of sound. And that's kind of what you have to do with comic books, because even though you do have the written word, you really have to express emotions and everything through your drawing. And since you don't have real movement, you've got to maybe sometimes make things a little bit more expressive than you normally would, and maybe in an illustration or something. But so he doesn't overdo it, and that can really easily be done, like I was saying. But yeah, like look here, he's got a knife to his throat and he's looking down, and it's very expressive and it's very well done. Everything is all the characters are in proportion. I do kind of wish they had a little bit of different viewpoints. The main characters are usually looking from side to side, although you do have this one 3/4 view. This 3/4, you have a few 3/4, and I guess yeah, he's looking down. So I mean, this should probably have gone the other way, but you know, it all makes sense, and it all it's pleasing. It's very pleasing. Some of the pages, I'm not too happy with this one, but it's very expressive, like I said, and it's not all pretty boys. It's not all pretty people, and really in life, who is all pretty people? There really just isn't a whole lot of that. So this is really kind of a down to earth, gritty comic book, not superheroes, not in your face sci-fi. It's just kind of a little sci-fi mixed in with a lot of how would you say personal life kind of stuff going on. So it was an enjoyable read, and like I said, if I see any more in the wild, I'll definitely pick them up. Being in Maine, I'll probably see more of these. If you're in another state, you probably wouldn't. But you know, I would definitely pick it up, and if you do see it, it's definitely worth a good read. I kind of wish the cover was in color, but what can you do? It's very expensive to have color covers, especially back in that time. So, Tapestry, #1 by Superior Junk, 1993. I would give it a 8. I'm going to give it an 8. I think the art kind of carries it. The writing isn't bad, but it certainly isn't engaging me. It doesn't engage me to the fact that I want to go out and buy these. I don't want to hop on eBay and grab the rest of the series. But like I said, I would grab them if I see them out in the wild. So it's not bad, but it's really pretty good. Pretty good. An 8, I think, is a pretty good score for this. So thanks for watching, and if you guys like this kind of content, please consider subscribing and give me a like. I'd really appreciate all of the likes that you could muster up, because I think that might send me into another stratosphere of other people getting to see my my content. And there's lots of books out there, and there's lots of books that I've already gone over, and you can always search and find the different stuff I've gone over. But I appreciate you guys watching, and have a great one, and I will see you guys next time.